One thing, a lot of MMA fans and not boxing fans because they don't really follow MMA generally, but just combat fans in general haven't acknowledged is the huge risk that the PFL has taken in investing all of this money into Francis Ngannou has paid off massively. It was a huge risk they were taking. I mean, the stipulations that Francis Ngannou wanted in his contract in terms of him boxing, in terms of him wanted a at least 10 mil a fight. His opponents get a contract a minimum of 2 million. Him becoming an ambassador of PFL Africa. Like, you got to remember, right now in hindsight, we can say, oh, they made the right decision. Like, obviously they should have signed up Francis Ngannou. I mean, he's this massive star after his performance against Tyson Fury. But what you got to remember is when he decided to leave the UFC as a free agent, obviously he was the champion. He was the lineal champion, and his title was never taken in the UFC. He decided to vacate it. When he decided to leave the UFC, at that time with Dana White and his huge media influence on sports media, he was and obviously loads of MMA fans thought the same thing. They all thought that Francis Ngannou fumbled the bag, so he was going to get 8 million guaranteed to fight John Jones. And a lot of people thought at that time, when his deal with Bellator fell through, his deal with obviously the UFC fell through, his deal with One Championship fell through. I think there was one or two more promotions that didn't want to work with him. At that time, literally everyone turned their back on Ngannou. It's almost like he became a black sheep. Nobody wanted to sign him. He was in a position where there was this reputation of him being difficult to negotiate with. Like, I think what's his name? Dana White mentioned they had more than 99 dinners with him and they couldn't come to a deal in terms of what he wanted with his new contract, in terms of the John Jones fight. So there was this narrative going on along the MMA media landscape that Francis Ngannou was literally like the plague. Like, you need to avoid him like the plague, because if he's in your promotion, like, he's just going to be difficult to deal with. And amidst all of that happening, after he's left the UFC and his contract has ended, and it looked like he was in a position where, like, nobody wanted to work with him. He was getting older. He left the UFC, so the UFC media machine stopped promoting him. They done revisionist history and tried wiping his records and all of that. And every day that passed, it looked like nobody wanted to work with him. The PFL came along and they said, listen, Francis Ngannou will give you everything that you want. And they negotiated. I mean, obviously this was going on in secret. And then there was a picture that emerged where I think it was Francis Ngannou's mother. She was wearing a t-shirt with PFL on it. And then people started stipulating, is he going to sign with PFL? And then eventually he got the deal with PFL and he signed with them. Now, at the time, I think Dana White came out and he said, this is the most ridiculous deal in history. How the hell are they going to make their money back in investing in Ngannou? Because let's be real, they're putting all of this money into Ngannou, but is it even going to break even? Who is he going to fight in the PFL? And to some extent, Dana White was right. Like, there was nobody in the PFL in the heavyweight division for him to fight, right? On top of that, like, he said he wants to box. So if he's going to box, then how is the PFL going to make money off that? His boxing is completely separate from his deal with the PFL. And then obviously we saw what happened only 2 nights ago when he completely embarrassed Tyson Fury. And now Francis Ngannou right now is one of the hottest property in combat sports. Like, he's completely crossed over to the point where, with the world's media watching, he completely embarrassed and destroyed Tyson Fury. And now the PFL look like they knew it all along. But the thing that you're forgetting is there was a huge gamble that they paid. That price that they paid to get Francis Ngannou on board, it was the biggest deal in PFL history, right? They put this massive gamble to put all this money into Francis Ngannou's pocket. Signing bonus, everything. They literally went the 9 yards for Francis Ngannou, gave him everything that he wanted, right? And that's a huge financial risk that they took. But the gamble has actually paid off, because now Francis Ngannou is in a position where he could potentially be the biggest simultaneous star across 2 sports. So like, I don't think he's going to be the biggest star in boxing, but he's going to be up there. If he gets into a fight with Anthony Joshua, that's going to do massive numbers. After his performance against Tyson Fury, it almost looks inevitable that they've got a new star on their hands. Any fight that, if he has a fight with Wilder, that will sell. Like literally, Francis Ngannou has turned into an overnight celebrity now after his performance against Tyson Fury. So I think the PFL gamble has paid off, even though they put a lot of upfront costs to get this guy, to get Francis Ngannou onto their team, and they gave him everything that he wanted. You got to remember, there's going to be some MMA fights in there, and I think this is going to look massive for the PFL because with Francis Ngannou, the most dangerous heavyweight on the planet, literally on their stable, it looks like it's inevitable. Like the PFL, their name recognition, their branding, everything's gonna grow. Especially if they have a massive fight on the PFL platform. Imagine if they get Deontay Wilder to do an MMA fight against Francis Ngannou. I mean that could do massive numbers. Imagine if he fights Dillian White in the PFL, that could do massive numbers. All of these fights could potentially put PFL over, and they've got one of the biggest stars in combat sports history in Francis Ngannou in their stable. So I think the huge gamble has paid off, but a lot of fans don't seem to acknowledge this. So I thought I'd make a video just acknowledging it. So tell me what you think below. Do you think it was a huge gamble that paid off, or do you think they still need to wait for it to pay off? Because it's a huge investment that they put into Ngannou. But with how much of a big star he's become now, I think it might pay off handsomely. So tell me what you think below. And like and subscribe to the channel. I've got a lot more content coming your way. Peace.